Namaste everybody. I think we are going to have the English version of Idam Valam as well. Rather than saying working on this, I've always been having this thought process that there should be an English version as well, because when you have the English version, you have a national reach. My Hindi diction is not up to the mark, I would say. So that is one of the reasons why I have not attempted there. But once this English version gets rolling, I think my next focus would be on going with the Hindi version and Kannada as well, because I had been in Karnataka for almost 13 years, so which means I am proficient in Kannada to a certain extent. So I believe that too should be there. In fact, the Karnataka elections looming over us right now, it would have been an ideal situation for me to come out with the Kannada version, but unfortunately there are so many other things that have been occupying my mind, so I couldn't foray into it. But having said that, the English version, the real reason behind it is that what actually transpires in Tamil Nadu, it never gets reflected in Delhi. That's my understanding. The reason being that there are very few people who come out and vociferously register what actually transpires in Tamil Nadu. It's always a different ball game when it comes to national politics and how the national media looks at Tamil Nadu. For example, the superstar Rajinikanth media will have a better taking in the national media than say something happening in a place called Vengavayal, where the Dalit community were deprived of their own drinking water facility, where they had a drinking water tank where feces were mixed, the human feces were mixed in the water tank. This should have ideally been a national issue where the national media could have debated it, but then they didn't. So they pick and choose, or should I rather put it as they cherry pick what can be debated. And there are a few media people who hail from Tamil Nadu or from the Tamil background and who could actually get into this, but then for reasons best known to them, they don't do that. So that is the reason I believe there is a need for Tamil Nadu based English media, and this is one small step towards it. I have been telling a few of my friends who are also fellow YouTubers that they should foray into English, but then they too are occupied and they're not able to do it. And I think once I start, they would follow suit. There are a few people who are already doing it. For my good friend String Vinod, he's doing a fantastic job. Now let me get into the subject that I'm planning to take up today. See, there is one particular feeling within the national media as to why Tamil people have this dislike for Hindi, or why do they have this separatism in their mind. Tamil Nadu is always a separatist minded place. This is a kind of feeling that is instilled. Now you can't blame them for having that particular opinion, because those who have represented us in the center, right from C.N. Annadurai, who happened to be a champion of the separate movement, the separate Dravidian state movement, who later dropped it. There are people who have always represented us in the parliament, have been vociferous when it comes to the self-rule, or the so-called self-rule of Tamil Nadu, or the federal rights, and so on and so forth. But what we fail to understand is that some of the tallest nationalists have hailed from this place. Of course, it was the erstwhile Madras presidency from where they hailed, but still the Tamil background could not be discounted. For example, Subramanian Bharatiya, who is quoted in many places by our Prime Minister Modi, or Rajagopalachari, who is fondly called as Rajaji, or Satyamurthy, or our own Kamaraj, or Muthuramalinga Thevar. There are so many people who are all nationalists who hailed from here and who have been contributing. And when you take the constitution itself, the drafting of the constitution, because there are a lot of people who say that Ambedkar was the architect of the constitution, I would respectfully disagree. He was not the architect of the constitution. The constitution was already in the making right from 1905, and we had so many factors that contributed to it, like the Sapru report, for example. And it is also a fact, drafting of the constitution where Ambedkar came into place happened only from 1946, when the Constituent Assembly came into place, and they decided that okay, let's give a complete structure to the constitution now that we're going to have an independent India. That's when Ambedkar came into the picture. But before that, there were so many people like Gopal Swami Iyengar, so on and so forth. I can keep naming, and that's a different topic, and we'll keep it for another day. But the structure for this nationalism that we talk about, and the nation that India is, because we have people like Rahul Gandhi coming out and saying, I am astonished, because when he makes these claims in the parliament, I am astonished at his ignorance when he makes his claim that India is a union of states. It's like a few states came together to form this country. No, it is not so. This was clarified by Sri Ambedkar. He goes on the floor of the Constituent Assembly, where he says clearly that yes, India is a union of states, but when we say union, we define what the union is. It is a union of states, and union does not mean that a federation of states came together to form this country. No. He says that this is a union of states because it already existed as a civilizational construct. Look at the use of words, civilizational construct. So India is not an artificial construct. India is actually a civilizational construct, which means it existed since eons. And that is why when during the drafting of the constitution, when they said that India is a union of states, that term Bharat was brought in. That India, which is Bharat, is a union of states, because we as Bharat have remained as a cultural construct, as a civilizational construct. We have been intact for thousands of years, and we are now giving it a construct, or we are now giving it an acknowledgement of that construct which has existed for many years for today's purposes. Because today when we see countries, borders, we also ought to have a border, and therefore we are giving that construct this particular, I would not say an identity, but an acknowledgement. And that particular acknowledgement is what came to be India as a republic. And the constitution is the supreme document which binds us, because I might have a belief, you might have a belief, somebody else might have a completely different belief, but we all are bound by that book, which is the constitution. Now, is that constitution perfect? It is not, and that is one of the precise reasons why we have almost more than 200 amendments to that, because that has to be time and again tuned to the present needs. But yes, our forefathers, when they devised the constitution, they were having a lot of brilliant ideas, thoughts which were well intentioned, and they wanted it to benefit the future generations. There are no two questions about it. We respect them, we salute them, but it does not mean that they were perfect, and they themselves knew that. That is why they gave the provision where we could have the amendments brought into the constitution. Now we have the Supreme Court, the honorable judges of the Supreme Court, time and again taking up to this particular aspect as to the basic structure of the constitution. Now, what is the basic structure of the constitution? Have they actually defined it? They have not, but they try to use that as a loophole to justify the fact that the collegium will determine the judges of the Supreme Court, and it will not be the NJAC, the National Judicial Academy. It will be the collegium, and the Supreme Court will supersede. It is quite understandable that any institution such as the legislative or the judiciary or the executive to take up that kind of an argument to justify their supremacy. But whether as a democratic setup we are going to allow that, then that is again a debate for another day. We will have it in the coming sessions. But when we look at the structure today, that structure, who gave the base for it came from the Madras Presidency. Now the Madras Presidency made the subcontinent understand how an administration can work, what a collector can do, what a quasi-judicial authority can do. All this, the base for it came from the Madras Presidency. So you can say that today's Indian bureaucracy, administration, the base for it came from Madras Presidency. So we were tuned to it, or the nation building as such, I could say, the beginning of it, or the present version of the nation building, I would say, started from the British. So that particular version, the base for it emerged from Madras Presidency, which means that Tamil Nadu, which happened to be the core of that particular Madras Presidency, was actually showing the way to this country. Now imagine, I will try to put it in very, very simple terms. We have a shop called Kerala Jewelers in our state, which has been functioning for quite some years, I would say decades. Imagine if I have Tamil Nadu Jewelers in a state like Kerala, which is ruled by national parties till today, the Communists or Congress. It is not possible. Now forget Tamil Nadu Jewelers. I cannot have a shop called Pandian Stores. We all know that it hails from Tamil Nadu. In fact, the Malayalis tease the Tamil people calling them Pandis. So like how we call Mallus, they call us Pandis. And how we always term Malayali people with the tea shop, we connect them with the tea shop because the Nayars are the people who've been running tea shops, hundreds of tea shops across Tamil Nadu, hundreds if not thousands. So they caricatured in that way, and we are caricatured as Pandis. Now imagine if I have a shop called Pandian Stores doing roaring business in Kerala. You think it will be allowed? No. But you claim that the national parties, here Dravidian parties have been ruling the roost for the last 50 years. And nationalism has gone for a toss. There is no, the separatist thought process is ruling here. All that is being spoken. But imagine, forget Kerala. Now let's look at Karnataka, classic case where one of the first governments of BJP have been formed. BJP made the foray or entry into South India, south of the Vindhyas with Karnataka. That is how it is being touted. So imagine if there is a shop in that name, Tamil Nadu Stores, Tamil Nadu Kitchen. Will it be allowed? It would not be allowed. In fact, the height of the Kaveri dispute, Tamil people were hunted, I would say. When I say hunted, I would not say hunted as in butchered. I wouldn't go to that extent. But yeah, Tamil channels were blocked. Now, why would a state which claims to vote for nationalist parties such as Congress or the BJP do something like that? Kannada channels were not blocked in Tamil Nadu, which is a state which is seen as deeply separatist. But that happened there. So it just goes to show that while these nationalist parties talk about having everybody, having this all, if you are coming from Bihar, you're coming from Gujarat, you're coming from Kashmir, you're coming from Northeast, we will always accept everybody. But are you really receptive or you're not? In fact, the first cases of targeting Northeast people coming from the Northeast, first chronicled registered cases emerged in Bangalore, which is considered to be a cosmopolitan city. We have had people from Northeast in Tamil Nadu. We've had even people working in various restaurants and in the service sector, across the service sector. We've never had that problem. But the problem arose in Bangalore. It became a national issue. How is it possible in a state which is ruled by national parties? It shouldn't have happened. But it has. So, what I am trying to drive home here is that this nationalism, patriotism, or the sense of Bharat that Dravidian parties have tried to destroy, which they have been attempting, one of them, I would not say both, but one of them, the DMK, has been trying to has been critical about it, or has been criticizing it, has been targeting it, has been tarnishing it for quite some time, and the national parties have happily allowed them to do it. Till today, they allow it. The Prime Minister has a bonhomie with the Chief Minister of the state, though knowing very well that this is the kind of attitude that they possess or they claim to possess. But beyond all that, Tamil Nadu has remained a state which has been receptive, and I would say, thankfully, that the national parties have not been able to rule the roost here for quite some time, say about 5 decades. We have had no such problems, barring this particular issue of the North Indians being targeted because of fringe elements ruling the roost, fringe elements like Seaman ruling the roost, and DMK mischievously spreading those canards, and the BJP using it for political purposes. As we saw, a few of them have been arrested. The BJP of Bihar was using it for their own political purposes, and we all saw what happened. Some of them have been arrested, some of them are cooling their heels in the jails in Tamil Nadu under the National Security Act. But barring this, more or less you will see, barring these incidents, more or less Tamil Nadu has been a haven which has accepted people from all states, and it has always been, or you can always tout it as one beautiful example of how nationalism actually has to work. We have set the standards. That has not reached the national media, or perhaps the national media doesn't want to project it for reasons best known to them. And this video is one beginning where I would like to show the other face of Tamil Nadu. Now, when I say the other face of Tamil Nadu, I am not only going to show the beautiful face of Tamil Nadu. It has got its own grey areas as well. But are these grey areas being projected? They are not. Where they should be projected, they are not. And this is going to be my contribution, because I believe that there are various contributions to the society. People can make various contributions to the society. There are many people who serve the poor, the people who contribute by way of wealth. But my contribution, I think, is by giving the alternative thought process to the society. 100 people may watch it, 200 people may watch it, 200,000 people may watch it, 2 people may watch it. But whoever watches, whoever chooses to watch this, they would get that. I'm sure I would be able to instill some kind of awakening. And if I am able to do that, at least my attempt would be, my attempt is towards that. If I am able to do it, and even if 2 people are able to get that particular feeling inside them, which makes them go into an introspection mode, so on and so forth, I think I would be successful. So once again, I thank you for encouraging this particular channel and this particular attempt of the channel. Thank you. Namaste.